Gonna see if this is gonna work, y'all. I think it might be working. Let's see. Just trying to check here. Uh-oh, I think it's working. I finally got it to work kind of the way I wanted it to. Kind of. So, hi, everybody. This is Dr. Lillian Coley. I'm here to get you guys caught up, answer any questions you may have. I get a lot of questions and people about the hundred. What is it? Is the $119,000 supposedly fees for anti-SLAPP freedom of speech thing? I guess that's what this is for. Some people were asking me about that. So here I am to come on and talk about that. This is kind of weird because I think we're over in, okay, I got it now. It finally started working for me though, so that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So let's see. We're gonna get this moving this on. 'Cause y'all know I like to keep moving, but I'm gonna give y'all some time to get on because that's the proper thing to do. So I hope your day's been going pretty good. Hope you're staying blessed and highly favored because you know what you know what you know. So I'm going to see if I can get inside of one of my other files here while we're waiting for people to come on. And I'm just basically trying to get you guys caught up on what's going on, just a little bit of something, something. And you can ask, because I've gotten a lot of questions. And what I'm going to probably be doing is going to some other platforms just to answer questions because people are concerned about stuff. Don't worry, y'all. A lot of stuff that happens is not what it seems. It's just not. It's not, everybody. It's it's something else, actually. So yeah, let me see if I can put this on the phone and then we're gonna get right to it. I'm gonna get right to it because I want you guys to hear and see and hear what I'm trying to say and talk about and then go from there. Let me see if I can get this to come up. Come on up, everybody. And that way I can see questions if questions come up. Okay. Hello there. I see somebody. Hi, how are you? I am trying to answer any questions. If anybody got questions, I wanted to start out by thanking you all for praying for us, me and my godson. He's been working a lot. He's going to be on eventually, not today. But what I wanted to do today is to talk about a little bit about everything without keeping you guys on the line too long. These are going to spam people crazy. But at any rate, the first thing was going to be about the $119,000 anti-SLAPP fees, which is not really attorney fees, but they're kind of tied up. And I wanted to first make sure everybody knew what anti-SLAPP was. Anti-SLAPP came out of California, and it basically was a law that put in place to protect people who had freedom of speech in the public, and that people were saying things with the government or about the government, but they wouldn't be sued later for their information, even if they made a mistake. In our case, we're talking about a litigation. We're talking about somebody who came into the court. In our case, it is not the same, and it's about retaliatory people that want to do retaliatory lawsuits. So our lawsuit has never been retaliatory. It's been about tort when it came down to the defendant because of the damages that we suffered in New Jersey. And when that person said they didn't have ties to New Jersey, that they were somewhere else, we went to their somewhere else, which was California. So at any rate, it looks like the orders that came out was not supposed to come out. So on November 17th, I filed a bankruptcy case in the state of New Jersey. And the reason why I did that was one, for the obvious, because of all the things going on with the finances, but also because of my property. The property I sold in 2023 was, there was obviously an escrow and all that stuff that goes along with that. And as a result, that particular transaction was questionable because it had ties to judgments that went back to void orders. The void orders are the orders that are in New Jersey. The orders that we obtained in the state of New Jersey were void. And the reason why they were void is because the state said, the family court said they had no subject jurisdiction. The client said that he had no ties, no properties. And also the client filed contested jurisdiction. And then, of course, there's the underlining issue with my goddaughter's age. So there was a lot of few things that were going on around that time. But the age part of Wanda wasn't paramount, or it wasn't talked about as much. Nonetheless, that's what happened then. As a result of that, when we became aware of somebody misrepresenting the facts or misrepresenting their information, the order becomes void. And that's just the way the law is. I don't have anything to do with that. And you don't have to go back and do nothing. You ain't got to tell nobody. It just gets void. So in our case, that's what happened. So that void order was used to get other orders because other things happened after that that led to the escrow, or somebody putting a judgment in on my property, and it led to the escrow. I don't want to go too far into that. I just want to give you a little tidbit. So that's what happened as far as that was concerned. So that particular portion of the thing is where we're at now regarding why we went to bankruptcy, so that they can look at the transactions. When people have inheritances and properties, and or somebody dies or there's a dispute, the bankruptcy court has very good techniques to find out who really owns it, what really happened. That's why we're there. That's the main reason. So as a result of that, that traces back to a fraudulent order. So that's what's really going on now. So what happened in California is, in a nutshell, the judge there, because she used anti-SLAPP as a means to stop the particular case, she used that based on obviously the defendant requesting it. When she did that, she used that based on the fact that this person had said they had freedom of speech. I have freedom of speech too. So we all got freedom of speech. So in other words, it's not what everybody thinks it is. It's a little messy, but the anti-SLAPP, basically in a nutshell, is for people for freedom of speech. So the bankruptcy helps with that. The bankruptcy helps with, not with the anti-SLAPP, but it helps with the overall picture of understanding what happened, to give people a better understanding of the transactions that took place with the property. And I don't want to go into that because it can really get messy and long. I'm going to let the court do its job, right? But the whole point was that in California, this judge decided to use anti-SLAPP, which what I was getting at, as a means to stop our case. And because there was not enough information there, she did it on her own anyway, the judge. And as a result, she used that premise as a means to do it. And that's where the dispute is. But the biggest thing is that when there is a active bankruptcy case, and she was aware of the bankruptcy case around Thanksgiving, then any cases around outside of the bankruptcy goes on a stay automatically. But our case kept going. So, and some people asked me, and they said, why did the New Jersey case kept going over the years? Well, when you don't have no jurisdiction from the beginning, you can try to cure or fix the problem. Come back and say, we can do this, or this happened here, to try to fix it. And in our case, it didn't get fixed. We were trying to show the deeds of the properties. We were trying to show tax records that, yeah, this person really does have ties to the state. But none of that worked because they didn't want to look at it, because I guess they felt they had no subject jurisdiction or whatever the case was, but they still could have got personal. But here in California, you find there was another situation dealing with that premise that we knew that was not in New Jersey. So as a result of that, that case went down. So when we saw what we saw with that, that was, everything is about litigation. Everything is about what somebody perceives or believes, and that's all fine. And that's why we have a court system. So if you find that you feel like you might be, not giving the fair, whatever you want to call it, then that's what the appeal process is. So we're not sure if the $119,000 anti-SLAPP fees, they're not compensatory fees for somebody suffering, they're fees for this particular act. We're not sure if that's going to go anywhere, because that particular litigation was on pause. And if it's on pause, then any order that comes out of it wouldn't be an order. That's why the judge put that on order. She put the anti-SLAPP fees on a stay immediately, which people were asking, well, why would you do it in the first place? Why don't you just wait? Because the bankrupt court has higher standards, or they have the higher, uh, you know, in terms of the when you have the case, no one else can take the case but bankruptcy court. That's what I'm trying to say. I can't really find the word, but that's what I want to say about that. So I don't want to go too far with it, but I definitely wanted you guys to know what was happening with that. And then some of this, when you see it, it's just people out there looking for something to try to make it more than what it is. We're in a court system. People have allegations, people have concerns. Even if a judge says something, no matter what it is, if you feel that there's something missing or something wrong or something happened, there's always a window where you can dispute it. You can appeal it. You don't know, you don't need to go crazy. As far as the publicity is concerned, I think that it was this put out there to provoke fear, not just with me, because it's not gonna be no fear with me because I'm good, but with other people, to try to make them think that they can't go after certain people or that person, because there's quite a few lawsuits. Ours ain't the only one. There's one young lady, I don't know her name exactly, but she has a lawsuit. She just went pro se, and what they want to do is scare them into what might happen to you. And it ain't not gonna happen to nobody, because you're gonna have to prove and make sure that what you're saying is real for somebody to put out any money, especially me. Now, here you're talking about something where the anti-SLAPP, I think, is very important for you guys to understand, is the anti-SLAPP is not based on facts or merit. It's only based on procedure. So in other words, a judge in California had all these facts, but didn't use none of them, because the anti-SLAPP stops at the door. It stops at the procedure level. You never get to the merits. Now, with the bankruptcy court, it's a totally different thing. You got bankruptcy court will give you an opportunity to get to the facts. And of course, people will come in and try to want the case dismissed, but you'll let the judge know, blah, blah, blah. It's a higher standard at bankruptcy court, and they are they're overseen by the Department of Justice, the United States Department of Justice. So there's no hanky-panky going on in there, because people can do a lot of crazy stuff to get into the court and out of the court and doing stuff that's not really ethical. So yeah, so the fee thing we just described, we had one victory with one of the attorneys, the defendant's attorney, who defaulted and did not respond to the court. So that happened on the same day that this other thing came out. So I seem to think that they might have had something to do with it. So in other words, that morning, the clerk did submit something about a default for this particular defendant, who was an attorney on the other side, who is ghost, went on their own. They're not responding to the court. They just disappeared. And then later on that day, the California case came out saying what they said. Now, like I said, the $1 million question is, why would you write an order and a judgment, put it out and put it on a stay? Why not just wait until the bankruptcy court come back? So it looks like to us that it's a publicity stunt to make people say, don't look over here, look over here. But the real thing you got to look at is the truth. Look at what the truth is saying, and that's all that matters. So that's why we've always been here, was about the truth, about what we've been through, the injury and the harm that we believe we had, and that's why we went and did what we did. So that's that, everybody. You got the fees, you got the anti-SLAPP, somebody trying to provoke fear. There ain't, if the Lord can't take care of something, he can't take care of nothing. In my life, he can take care of everything. And he loves justice. So nobody's provoked by anything, and anything anybody says that is not true, it's just not true. Nobody's going to run you down and tell you the truth. You got to figure out your own. Yeah, there was a judge who wrote entered an order, who did something that appeared to be, one, not correct lawfully, because nobody's going to pay anybody for fraudulent statements. And then two, the timing, the way that it came out and how it came out when you didn't need to do it now, don't make sense. So from my understanding, that whenever you have a bankruptcy case, any other case automatically goes on a stay. And federal courts know this. I don't have to tell you that. So for you to make an order up and you to do whatever, it doesn't, I don't understand. Well, nobody understands that. So at any rate, that's fine. But we wanted to just come on and talk about those things. I'm going to make sure I continue to follow the law. I'm going to follow my claims and do what the claim says to do. And like I said, we had a default with one of the persons, and that was that. So I'm just going to ask if there are any questions. I see you guys. She said, please go back to Tasha K. Yeah, Tasha K would be wonderful to go back to. I wouldn't mind coming back to her at all. I see it said, who knew? Did you? It said, I'm not surprised they are. Yeah, this is for me, I honestly believe this is a PR stunt. But there are some other things coming that are outside of us. Pay attention, everybody. There's this stuff that was happening before us and after us and in between. And it starts to get caught up, right? So I just think that was part of it. And I also think that the defendant's attorney, one of their attorneys who was caught up in my property stuff and received checks, illegal checks or checks that they shouldn't have cashed about a property they knew they shouldn't have did all this stuff with in terms of the liens and judgments because it wasn't real. And when it gets traced back, it's going to be traced to fraud. He's gone. So we think that it might have had something to do with that because it happened on the same day that the California judge put out this judgment. And again, her judgment, was based on somebody saying they got freedom of speech. Well, so do I. If we have freedom of speech and can say anything we want, fraudulent statements, and not get sued or because you cause damages on somebody else, then everybody can do that. So obviously, this particular judgment and order was misplaced, that it was not right. And that's why you have an appellate process. I already appealed it. I appealed it the second day. Just appealed it. So at the end of the day, I just felt like I don't want nobody to be fearful of their own cases. Don't be fearful of stuff because people will do stuff like this as a propaganda to be fearful. It's not my fault I'm in this situation. Now, I wish I could have certain types of attorneys, but somehow because of the judges involved with this, it hasn't been easy to get. But my main judge is God. And if he tell me to keep moving, guess what? I'm going to keep moving. What am I going to do? Stop because, whatever? No. The Lord has put me in a place and he has provided people around me to help me and my godson Ramir. We're not in this by ourselves. We got you all. We are a community type situation going on here. And we believe that God's called us for this. Listen, we're not the only ones going through this. Now, we know that another young lady, high-end, Nicki Minaj, went through some stuff. Another Black girl. Because sometimes people think if it's a Black woman, a woman period, with no attorneys, we can't have her winning. We got to all band together, so to speak. Now, what about the truth? What about the rule of law? So these are the kind of things that concern me because I'm thinking if I'm trying to live right and do right, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to let anybody influence me to be anything other than whom I'm supposed to be. Let me pause. Yep. Let me pause. I do think there is some other companies. Thank you for the sending of the prayers. We need all the prayers. Yep. There's going to be some stuff that's going on and it's not just us. And thankfully, y'all, the Attorney General of New Jersey will be over soon. The one we have now, which was a big part of our problem in New Jersey. Because he was trying to cover the cover up, which we believe, for the judges. And the judges was in on it with the attorneys. And the attorneys was doing what they were doing with the clients. And all of it revolved around money and trying to shield people and also to cover up my goddaughter, who was underage. A Black woman who was underage, who wasn't even trying to go down this path. This was just all she was trying to do is help her child. And look where it got. So yeah, thank you for the love. Amen. Thank you for all the likes with the videos and so forth and so I just believe, y'all, that this is pretty much what it is. But I want you all that if God has called you to do something and you got to do it. You can't mess with it. You know what I'm saying? You can't let people stop you from anything. Let me see what we have. Any questions? Any questions for me? Thank you all for watching. Everybody that's watching, please share. Yeah, I do believe we kind of know what's going on. We are going to try to probably go back to see Tasha. Tasha was one of our biggest supporters. But the biggest thing is, I'm always concerned about my godson's safety because of what happened with his car. And then last month, somebody busted up my car with my niece drives it with her 4-year-old child. And they first bust the passenger window, did some rambling, whatever. And then the car was in one location. Then we got it fixed 3 days later. And then within a week, a week is 7 days, they came back. They came back to the same car in another location and came in the car without the key. Now, my brother is a police officer. I got one brother and several other family members. One brother who is a police officer in the city of Philadelphia. He said the second entry was pretty much them trying to say they're professionals. But it's okay, everybody. It is what it is. You can't worry about this kind of stuff, but you definitely want to make sure you get it clear with everybody that you believe you've been called to do what you're doing and that some of the stuff is not making any sense. But nobody in America is going to pay somebody to have no subject jurisdiction in your court that you're in. You say misrepresentation about your own personal jurisdiction or your properties. You file with the court as limited appearance, which means you contest jurisdiction, and it's dealing with an underage girl. And you're saying, what? You got freedom of what? Everybody got freedom of speech. But this anti-SLAPP was made for people who are in the public arena or somebody's talking about something and they're out there and they make a mistake. They can make a mistake or not, going out to be malicious, and they are protected from free speech of public forums. Now, this is a courtroom where you submit truth. And if you submit something that's not true, that particular anti-SLAPP does not apply to fraud. It doesn't. So at the end of the day, it was questionable. Why would somebody even think? But that's the only thing they can hang their hat on, because once they get to the merits of the case, the truth, what we're really here for, game is over. So what a lot of times, unfortunately, the courts do is try to hang out at the procedure level. Did they file all the forms? Did they do this? Did they do that? And then, by the way, how can we bump them out? Especially if you're a Black female and no attorney, and you have the law on your side, you in trouble. You would think they were like, look, wait a minute, let's sit down and figure this out. Let's work it out, because she has a legitimate claim, he has a legitimate claim. But unfortunately, the world is not always like that. That's why you need community. Community is there to empower you, to push you on, and to help you. And our job is to do the same thing for you all. So I want to thank you all for coming in, just to say hi and so forth and so on. But I hope that helped out with some of the stuff that's going on. Just because somebody puts out a judgment or order, I'm not going to say it don't mean nothing, but what I'm going to say is it does mean something, obviously. But what it means, more importantly, that you still have rights to question it. You still have rights to appeal it, and you have still rights to revoke it. In this case, nothing's being done. They're putting it on a stay, and it can't even be enforced until we go through bankruptcy court. Now, when we go through bankruptcy court, there will be a process of looking at the information, because that's why we're there. We're there to provide the truth of the matter. And that court is different than other courts, because they have to seek out the truth to know if that's your property, or to know if something happened with your property, because you can't do it on hearsay. You got to know what it is. So we're going to let them see what it is. And it's already out there for the world to see, that if you started out with a void or, a litigation that was tainted, than everything down the road what it is. Now, it was a money machine for people. It was. Some people made a lot of money over the last 14 years, and it wasn't me and Ramir. So now one of those persons we think is that one law firm who decided to, not respond to the court, and there was an entry of a default judgment against them, one of his defendant's attorneys. So yeah, that's it for me, y'all. I mean, I don't have anything else. I just want you all to be safe and to be encouraged, and don't let any type of fear, somebody trying to provoke fear, just don't let that happen. I think that's a very horrible thing for people to do, and people do stuff. Let me see if I can change the name here real quick, because I know we got so many things going on at one time. But at the end of the day, I appreciate everybody, and I look forward to talking and having forums. We're going to have some questions and answer things coming up, and then there are some beautiful things that are going to be happening. So we just have to wait, because we can't do everything at one time. But we hope that the YouTube community and all the communities we're involved with will participate and be a part of it. Be encouraged. Talk to other people if they're running into problems, to try to do things the right way. Don't do what other people do, because you'll get what they got. And most times they have nothing. Doing the wrong thing never pays off. Just try to do your best in doing the right thing. And we found that has got us where we are. If we were so messed up and didn't have any real proof, then why are we still here? Your stuff could have really got us out of here by now. What took you so long? And it still ain't got us out, because the truth, you have to use something on the premise, and anti-Slapp isn't the one of them, to say that a person cannot bring a case into a court to get their, damages or whatever they're looking for. You need to have something stable. It got to be real. It can't be no fluff. So at the end of the day, I'm going to look for the system to do what the system is called to do. I'm fully confident it will. I'll be with you and the community to do it, because we have to have transparency. We have to have accountability. And I believe that God has called us to do what's right, because God loves justice. Yes, he does. And people try to act like he don't. No, God loves justice, y'all, whether you like it or not. So at the end of the day, we got to just do what we got to do. So I know I got some comments about people saying I'm digging a hole. I'm not digging no hole. I'm not swayed by anything. I promise you. I consider everything important, but I'm not going to sit there. I ain't lost no sleep, right? Ain't lost none. So at the end of the day, I got complete peace, because I know what I'm doing in God. So at the end of the day, all the other things around me, in some cases, are just noise. But it's a noise where, if it's not sound, legally sound, it can be challenged. And that's what's going on. Let's see here. We got content creators. Yeah, well, I think the content creators is very much got their own opinion, but nobody has really seen all of our data. They don't even know what our evidence is. So it really depends on what you're talking about when you talk about, as the case has no merit. The case got merit, because if the case didn't have merit, why would you need to lie about your properties? If the case didn't have merit, why did you say you couldn't be dealing with something in Jersey and we had to go to California? You don't have to run around and make believe. If it ain't got no merit, you can shut that down right away. But you can't shut down property deeds. You can't shut down tax records. These belong to the state. You can't shut down an underage girl. And then the person themselves submit things to court saying, this court, New Jersey, has no power over me. They have limited, I'm making limited appearance to this court, because you ain't got no power on me. No problem. So the point is, if all that's going on, and then somebody finally does go see you, so to speak, where you are, why you go back to Jersey? You go on all these places and things are happening because something's right somewhere. Because if somebody don't have anything, this could have been shut down a long time ago. What happens is we never get to the merit. You don't know what the merit is because we didn't get to it. We're still a procedure. And when we get that, when we have our day in court, when we actually can present the case, not about paternity, this is going to be about fraud first, then you'll be able to hear and see. And if it's going to be dealing with rights, it's not about losing a case. It's about being able to present it. If you're stopped and blocked from not having due process, that's the problem. You got different rights out there. You got civil rights, you got paternity rights, you got constitutional rights. And we want to be able to have constitutional rights to go into any court, whether you win or lose, and be able to present our case. And that's that. Not somebody blocking it and stopping it because of all these different things. So you have a lot of things that is happening, especially with the Epstein, the Diddy case, all this stuff with these young girls, all these things that people have done, everything in their power to cover the cover up. And guess what? It hasn't worked. So I don't know how a content creator who's probably not in the legal sense and wasn't there with us for over the 14 years can really call something like that. Like I can't call anything about certain things they do. They definitely can't call things about us. But if you have an order where a judge has said, this ain't no merit, this ain't no case, send it to me because we ain't got it. If you have a case that was looked at on the merits that we're talking about, not about hearsay and stuff, send it to me. It don't exist. The only orders we have is no subject jurisdiction and no personal jurisdiction. That's it. There's other little stuff in between about this, that, and the other. But the thing is, some of the stuff that's in between was just a money machine. I ain't gonna get into that, and it don't even matter. What matters is what started in the beginning. Fraud from the beginning goes all the way to the end. That's what this is all about. It's not even hard. And because I'm a Black female single by myself and no attorney right now because of the different things, we got attorneys behind the scenes, the establishment, the hierarchy, so to speak, can't phantom. Oh my God, she got the law. And she's Black. She's a female too. Can't have it. It's just the way it is. But at the end of the day, God has called me for such a time as this, and I'm going to continue to follow that and do what God has called me to do, and that's what I'm going to do. So if there's any more questions, comments. Yeah, they didn't read all the court documents because the court documents are in several places. So like I said, send me the order. Tell them to give you the order where the judge read it and said, there's no case. See, well, you can put documents in the court, but that doesn't mean the court will use them because they have to get to it. It has to get to that merit stage. And then ours is real simple. Fraud and fraud upon the court, no subject jurisdiction, underage girl. It's really just 3 or 4 things. That's it. So at the end of the day, unless you can give me something, just send it to me. You can send it to me. Look for my email. Send me what they have. I know we deal with the judges. We pay for the fees and all the other kind of stuff. So I know what we're doing in terms of a judge. But if a judge has put out there an order saying we don't have a case, there's no merit, please send it to us. It doesn't exist. It's just a lie out there because they want to make you think that we even went to all these courts. We went to different courts because we had to. Okay? It's only been 3 for real. 3 different types: family, California, and then bankruptcy. And that's because it was different types of fraud. When you put fraud on somebody's property, you can go to a regular district court, but it's better to go to the bankruptcy court. So there's different reasons. And then we were done with the New Jersey, but then somebody went back there. They said they didn't live, they had no property there. We went to the place where they had property, which was California. Then they go back to New Jersey. For what? So I'm just saying to you, if is what it is, if there's an order out there that says the case has no merit by a judge, that somebody looked at these documents, please send it to me. Because if you looked at the documents, it should be an order from the judge saying there's no merit to the case. Because anti-SLAPP is a procedure. It's not a merit case. You don't get to the merits. It's a procedure case saying that a person saying they have protected speech, but in this case, their speech is not protected if it's fraud. Fraudulent statements is not covered in anti-SLAPP. It's not. Because if that's the case, we all can do it. And that's common sense. So at the end of the day, it is what it is. Amen. We are bringing awareness. Amen. I agree with that. Because in order for us all to be, you don't never know, this could be you or somebody you know, or you find yourself in life going through a challenge to help fix the system, correct the system, make changes so that the vulnerable people don't suffer. You never know where your life is going to be. I mean, I was doing other things and happy-go-lucky, and this came across. So it is what it is. Well, she didn't really have a baby by a stranger. She knew it. She didn't know him, but she met him through a friend. But that's really none of my business. But if you can decide to keep the baby, and she decided to keep the baby. So that was her business. So whether she kept it or not doesn't make any difference, because that's her life and what she did. It doesn't make it so that somebody else can do wrong to her or wrong against her or her child because she made that decision. It's just not how it goes. But thank you for your comments. Thank you about bringing awareness. Why are you preaching to the public? I'm not preaching to the public. I'm here because I have freedom to come on my channel to do whatever I want to do. And that's what I'm doing. Oh, I didn't prove fraud. I don't have to prove fraud. Fraud is based on what a person did and did not do. The court does. So that's why we can't get to it, because it's very easy. I don't have to prove it. It proves itself. When somebody says something, it does it itself. I'm not sure when the next update's going to be, because we're working on something with some people behind the scene regarding the next steps. So, the court system is extremely slow, which is not a problem. But at the end of the day, we're going to try to see what we can do in terms of getting that moved to a better place, as far as just trying to overall have the right answers for everyone. If the people or certain persons want questions, answers, etc. So we don't know. There's different cases, things that's coming up. I think some of the people, if you do get around to looking at cases online, all the cases are public. All of them. California, New Jersey, we had to go back to New Jersey, as you know, because somebody went back to New Jersey. We didn't go back. And because you went back to try to use things that are not sound, orders that were obtained by fraud, we had to go back to the federal court there. And then I was already in bankruptcy dealing with my property piece. The property piece, because of that situation, was in the bankruptcy court. Because, as I said earlier, for those who just came on, the bankruptcy court is a better place for that. Yeah. So I'll keep you updated. We thank God for all of you. Continue to keep stay focused and have a blessed, happy Friday. I know I'm going to have a blessed, happy Friday. I already have, right? And we'll continue to have it, and going to continue to trust God. By God I live, and by God I die. So we're going to walk by faith and not by sight. It's not about people, places, and things. It's about the God of the universe. It really is, y'all. So we have some great stuff coming up. As soon as we get a chance to get certain things, together for these projects we're working on, you guys will be the first to hear about it. But yeah, so I just wanted to talk about a little bit of this situation and so forth and so on. Where's the paper? The paperwork is all over the place. So in other words, you would have to go, a lot of it's online, but you can go right to the court and get it. It's all over. You got 14 years of paperwork, but it was all based on the facts. And the facts is what we just talked about here. So at the end of the day, it never changed. The truth never changed. That's why people running from it. You can keep running and running and running. Eventually, you're going to run out. And it's not like somebody trying to get nobody, because there ain't nobody trying to get nobody. But at the end of the day, everybody wants their day in court, and they want to be treated like a citizen. And when somebody doesn't do that, whether it be the system or whatever has the system doing what it's doing, whether it be influence, money, etc., that can be a problem. People don't like that. They ain't having that. They ain't going for that, y'all. So yeah. Anything else, everybody? It's just good to be here, be able to talk to everybody and to keep things moving and to connect with you all. But yeah, I think some of you guys got that paralegal anointing on you, and you might have an eye for stuff and all that. So what you could do, the best thing to do is do your own little research. And like I said, most of the stuff is online. You go online, do what you do, and make your decision. But ours is really simple. It's not hard at all. That's why God allowed me to be able to do what I'm doing now. And we had an attorney, didn't have an attorney, back and forth. Then we got attorneys always behind the scene. But for the most part, yeah, it's not that deep. It really isn't that deep at all. Yeah, some people do believe that. As I already told you guys in the past, what we've done with that situation. And I left the father thing stuff with Ramir because for me, the case is so much bigger than paternity rights. Paternity rights is very important. And Ramir should be having his paternity rights. But also human rights and constitutional rights and civil rights are very important too. And he needs to be able to go to court like I should and not worry about whether we have enough money for some other body, if we don't have a certain house, or whether somebody's going to be doing some hanky panky in the back. That's not what people want to go to court for. Otherwise, that's why some people wasn't going. I mean, back in certain times of slavery, it was really bad, where you had it was bad, where it was a waste of time to go. But we had came long ways from there, and thinking that there's some sort of justice and human respect for everybody, regardless of how much money they make. But some people still think they can buy everything, even people, even justice. So yeah. Well, yeah, so that's your point, your opinion. He's not really fighting off harassment because nobody's harassing you. It's like if you tell the truth and do what you do, and it ain't got nothing to do with baby daddy. It's about the stuff that happened in the court. This is some stuff that happened in the court that you got to go. So it's not about somebody harassing you, because otherwise he could have put in a harassment claim, which he didn't. Like I could have put in a defamation. It's things that I could have did too, but I try to keep it strict. I try to keep it strictly to the facts and to what's going on, because this stuff I could tell you too, but I'm not gonna go down that road. This stuff that happened early on that was kind of weird, y'all, but they all tied back to where it tied back to. So, but yeah, you can't buy the truth, never could. So it is what it is. But thank you all for coming on, and just be encouraged. Don't give up on your own little fights, whatever that might be, and just tell the truth and shame the devil. I don't have to live in no lie. I live in the truth. I'm going to walk in the truth. I'm going to eat in the truth. I'm going to sleep in the truth. And I'm sleeping good. So anything that anybody try to do, you ain't going to provoke no fear in me, because I trust God and I know what I know. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing it. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't be. I just wouldn't. I don't pick fights, but I don't run from them either. And at the end of the day, if there's a fight that's got to be had in a good way, clean fight, just do what you got to do. But some things are so beyond that. So beyond that. Yeah, a lot of people have multiple lovers. That's the way life is, right? They didn't have one person. And it doesn't matter whether she had a whole lot, because that's her business. But the whole point is what happened after that, because she never was pursuing anything. Yep, this is a Goliath. David did beat Goliath. I do remember that. Sure did. So that's why you got to know what your fight is and what you're supposed to do. And in doing that, whether God is going to take care of you. If God has spoken to you and you believe that, you do it. I don't suggest people do anything they shouldn't do and all that. And I've been in real estate and have had properties and stuff. So that's why people are trying to go after that, because that's where the money is. But that's the stuff God gave me. You're not going to just come and just do anything with my properties. But yeah, any other questions or comments? I thank you all who knew Who knew did you? Okay. Running. You guys got some interesting names. I'm just grateful for all of you. Nikki's World. You know, I love Nikki. Nicki Minaj. That's my girl. I thank God for her and all that. We definitely proved fraud. I can tell you that in Jesus' name. Just you can bank on that with miracles and money. So I wouldn't even be here. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to present it. And if you don't want somebody to present it, it's because you don't want to know about it. Sometimes people don't want to know. And the courts, when they get to the merits of the case, which we have not, that's why there's a problem. It's okay. I want everybody to feel comfortable in their comments because that's the world we live in. I don't want you to feel like you can't. I'm gonna try to come on more live. Y'all know I'm in school. I'm getting my second PhD. I did some other stuff in the past, and now I'm doing my dissertation on God Loves Justice. How about that? Everything is tying together, and I'm able to talk to justices and judges all over the land, y'all. Some in very high places, and just talk to them about God, love, and justice, and what about them, even if they're not a person of faith. I'm talking about just being able to live in a country where people are treated fairly. How about that? So we're at that place now. And we're doing some things with our class. It's been a very exciting journey, interesting journey. Me and Ramir have some projects. We have some projects. You said the sound is off. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yeah, and sometimes when you're on here, I ain't gonna say who else gets on. There's some other folk that get on. Do y'all hear me? Let me know if y'all hear me. Good. So at the end of the day, we have some great projects coming up, and because we're gonna tell our story. I wrote my book years ago for you all who don't know a tragedy, how I lost my parents, a tragedy turned into an opportunity, and how God kept me and my brothers and sisters. And that's our truth too. People will try to change that, but at the end of the day, we know our truth. And now I'm going to be talking about eventually my legal story, which I've been talking to you guys about, but I also want to put it down in writing and help people, especially people who've been in jail for a long time with no justice. So we were trying to do a project with them when they come out on how they revive their lives. How did they feel when they were going through the process of everybody saying it ain't true, right? And you knew it was deep down inside, and you kept saying it. And sometimes you have the proof to show, sometimes you don't, especially in criminal cases because it's made up sometimes. What did you do? How did you go from day to day and make it mentally? How did you not become bitter, but better? Stuff like that. There's a lot of powerful things out there you can do with your adverse situations. That when the world gives you lemons, you make lemonade and you make lemon pie and you make lemon. And I love lemons. Lemons, if I had to go on an island by myself and it was a few things I was going to take for a few months, lemons is one of them. That's how much I love it. It's good for you and good to you. So yeah, we got some things coming up and we want the community around the world to be a part of it. So if you feel led when the time comes, you can jump in and be a part of it. We're not looking for animosity. I ain't scared of nobody. I know you're not scared of nobody. So we're going to just get along. If we don't want to get along, that's fine too. This is what, it's all good, right? It's all good, everybody. Ain't nobody mad with you. Like you say, I was eating when I got here. I'll be eating when I leave. Same thing with you, right? So that's a blessing that you don't have to depend on anybody but God. I have to believe, trust God. I can't trust myself. I can't trust my shoes. I can't trust my money. I gotta trust God. Now, everybody trusts different things, but I trust him. And so far, he been doing mighty good, y'all. He good, y'all. So yeah. All right. Anything else? Thank you. We're gonna try to keep pumping. No, I'm not obsessed with nobody. I promise you. And believe me, you might be one of his friends, and that's good. But nobody's gonna do anything unethical and think you can get away with it either. So sometimes you got to be careful who you get in a fight with, because especially when you start talking about my property or something God gave me, you just stepped over the boundaries, y'all. Something that you got to be careful with that. So that sometimes you can put yourself in a bad situation, right? These demons don't care about you. I don't care about the demons either, and I ain't afraid of demons. The demons don't mess with me because they already know what kind of power I have. That's a fact. You can bank on that. Yeah. What else is going to assess over a low vibration family who won't acknowledge his own son? Can we hear you? Fine. Yeah, can hear you. Yes. I'm not letting nobody throw me off. Thank you. You go through challenges in life because that's the way life is. But I gotta tell you, I don't pick fights, but I don't run from them either. But you have to be careful who you in a fight with. And you don't start doing stuff to people's properties and things like that. You don't do something at all, because you get your little self in trouble. And thankfully, I have law enforcement people. I got all kinds of people in high places in my family. And I'm thankful for that. We don't have to abuse it, but we use it because we've learned the system and what works. And what works is doing the right thing. So having police officers, security people, and so forth and so on, and people in high places in the government, you learn to just appreciate and respect the system. And when it doesn't work, you try to fix it. You do, because you don't want it to be broke. You don't want to be, nobody wants to be in a broken system. I know I don't. All right, everybody. I think we did all we can do. Sending you love too. Thank you, Miss Chaplin, Miss Champagne. I think I need my glasses on. Sending you love and blessings for you and your family as well. Yeah, the demons, they shouldn't care about me, because I don't care about them either. The devil is a lie, y'all. Oh, you want to give me money? Did you want to give me money? I can't see your first part of your name because I have the reading glasses on. I might can make this bigger, but I know the last part is 1779. We good. I don't need no money right now. I mean, I always need money, but I don't need no money like that, right? No. So people want to think somebody's looking for something for some attorney fees, or anti-slap is not even attorney fees. We good. We good. We're gonna let the system work, and then you sit back and watch it. Yep. Just sit back and watch and see how the system works, because the system can work. My mother said that before she died. It's designed to work, she said. Just follow it. She said that's why people always trying to break it and bend it and do everything else. She said, but you, and you, to her children, including me. She said, follow it. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to follow the law. But thank you all so much. This is Dr. Lily M. Coley, and this is Keeping It Real with Dr. Lil. And I so appreciate you guys for just coming on. Most of y'all were hearing me the whole time. And I hope I have given you some information that can help you, empower you, and or your family. And just always send me an email. Let me know what's going on. And if you need help with something, I'll try to direct you. We have, like I say, attorneys behind the scene, some great people of all different races and backgrounds who care about the law. And the reason why some of them are not coming forward, because they know they will get and more ostracized by others who are in their faith, or in just people who don't want to deal with attorneys, not attorneys, but judges who have went astray, judges who took the bait, stuff like that. So there is some sensitivity there, but at the end of the day, it's all good. Yeah, I don't know why the notifications. I'll check into that and find out what's going on. I usually don't do too many lives, and that's probably why. But you should try to get the notification. What I try to do is come on and sit for a minute, because I know I have not been on too many lives. But I appreciate every one of you. I'll be thinking about you, praying for you, and trusting God for your life too. That whatever you're going through, whatever you have went through or may go through down the road, that you will remember the words to be encouraged, to don't give up, and to understand that life has its ups and downs, and it's all good, because in the end, if you believe, you will succeed. You will succeed and you will achieve. And that's just the oracles of life. That's just the way life goes, even if you're not in the church. If you do kind of right, you get kind of right. But when you have God, at least in my belief, you have even the more. It's stronger, it's more in depth, it's so forth and so on. But the laws of gravity, the laws of certain things are for you, whether you're in the church or not. But there's certain special things you get when you're in God that is priceless. It's priceless. And peace, truth, understanding, and all those beautiful things are some of them. And you ain't got to worry about what nobody think or say, because it don't matter. And can't nobody touch you, because God is on the throne. Period. And you gotta believe that, y'all. Y'all gotta believe it. So we'll get on here and start talking more about those kind of things. I don't want to just be talking about no case, because I got a lot of beautiful things going on in my life, and I want to keep it that way so that I can have a balance, so that all areas of my life will continue to infuse together, but that nothing will dominate it. And nobody ain't gonna be in my head that much. The devil is a lie. I promise you. All right, everybody. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, she said something about the like the video. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Be encouraged. This is Dr. Lily M. Coley. I'm going to be signing out, and I want you to go and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Be encouraged, okay? Bye, everybody.